Okay, I've got 6 o'clock. Let's go ahead and have roll call, please, Lou, if you would mind.
Good evening, everyone. I'll start with you, Mayor Bain.
Here.
Councillor Gorell.
Here.
Councillor Lundstrom.
Here.
Councillor Scalise.
Here.
Councillor Sherman.
Here.
Councillor Spradlin.
Here.
Councillor Strauss.
Here.
Okay, it looks like we have a quorum. Moving on to number 2, approval of minutes. Are there any addition or correction to the minutes of our regular meeting of November 23rd? Hearing none, I would look
Here's
for
what I found.
hearing none, I would look for a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
And so moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Who was that? I didn't catch.
Dan.
Kevin? Oh, okay. And who was the second? Kevin was the second. Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councillor Spradlin.
Yes. Sorry, I couldn't find the button.
Councillor Lundstrom.
Yes.
Councillor Gorell.
Yes.
Councillor Scalise.
Yes.
Councillor Strauss.
Yes.
Councillor Sherman.
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. Okay, item number 3, citizen comment. Is there anyone on the call that would like to publicly comment tonight? Okay, moving on to number 4, management. This is a public hearing concerning the budget. I'll go ahead and open the public hearing for the 2021 budget, and we'll start off with a staff report from Joanne.
Good evening, everybody. So on your agenda tonight, you have a public hearing for the budget. Excuse me one moment. I had to sneeze. Okay, sorry. And
Bless
then
you.
on there also is a public hearing for the highway users tax and county road tax. That second public hearing is not necessary. All we need is the public hearing for the budget. Underneath that, during this hearing, then I need to report on our highway users tax. So our 2020 estimated revenues is $146,000, and our 2021 budgeted revenues is $146,000. These revenues that we receive from the state of Colorado are for ongoing street maintenance expenses, and so that's what we use ours for every year. Is in the general fund we have the street department, and they do the everyday maintenance of our streets, and that's what that money's used for. The next item is the actual budget, and just to start us off as a review, July 27th was the first time we talked about our budget for our 2021 budget, and that was a review of the budget calendar. September 28th was the first public hearing where department heads presented the line item requests. And then on October 26th, the department heads reviewed the capital improvement requests. And then council may recall that on November the 12th, about 2.5 weeks later, we actually did the budget retreat. We did have a budget meeting, special meeting last week on the fire equipment fund, and per council's direction, I did change the fire equipment fund to include an additional $50,000 for the engineering and planning on the fire training center. So we're before you tonight, needing the adoption of resolutions for the 2021 budget. And unless anybody has a question, I'll go forward and start going through the budget, the adoption resolutions. Does anybody have a question? Okay, so the first resolution is number 2020-9. It's a resolution to adopt the budget, a resolution summarizing expenditures and revenues for each fund, and adopting a budget for the city of Brush, Colorado for the calendar year beginning on the first day of January 2021 and ending on the last day of December 2021.
Okay, Joe, I was going to go ahead and, are you going to go through all of them summarily now? And then we'll take a vote later, because at some point I have to open it up for public testimony. I don't think we have
Oh,
any.
okay. I can do it either way. Which would you prefer?
Why don't you go ahead and go through all of them with an explanation of what each one is, and then when you're done, I'll call for public testimony, and then ask for final questions of council, and then we'll go into the voting on each one of those items.
Okay. So the first one I read to you is for the adoption of expenditures and revenues for the 2021 budget year. The second one I'm going to be reading to you is the 2020-10, a resolution appropriating sums of money to the various funds and spending agency and the amounts and for the purpose as set forth below for the city of Brush, Colorado for the 2021 budget year. It's pretty much a repeat. If you look, your numbers are exactly the same, but it's by fund. They're all by fund, but it's pretty much exactly the same thing. It's just a different way. And the third one is resolution number 2020-11, which is a resolution to set the mill levy, a resolution levying general property taxes for the year 2020 to help defray the cost of government for the city of Brush, Colorado for the 2020 budget year. So this sets our mill levy at 15.66, which that's been there for numerous years. I think the last time it changed might have been in 1994. It sets the mill levy and the property taxes that we are to be able to receive in 2021. That's the three resolutions.
Okay. All right, at this time, I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing for public testimony. Is there anyone on the call that would like to testify about the budget? Okay, are there any other questions from council concerning these resolutions before we move to a vote? Okay, let me go ahead and catch my computer up here. Okay, item number.
Hold on, I couldn't find my button. I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Just what we talked about in our special meeting, I haven't been able to get clear through all those pages. Did that get put in there?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Underneath the fire equipment fund.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, we'll move on to 4C, resolution number 2020-9, resolution to adopt the budget. Do I have a motion to approve the 2021 budget?
I'd move that we adopt resolution 2020-9.
Okay, Dan's made a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Justin, I believe. Okay, any further discussion on the item? Okay, let's move to a roll call vote.
Counselor Stroud,
Yes.
Counselor Sherman,
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom,
Yes.
Counselor Scalise,
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin,
Yes.
Counselor Garrell,
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. Okay, moving on to 4D, resolution number 2020-10, resolution appropriating sums of money to the various funds and spending agencies. I would entertain a motion on this item.
Move that we approve resolution number 2020-10.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Justin. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Dana. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Counselor Garrell,
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin,
Yes.
Counselor Scalise,
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom,
Yes.
Counselor Sherman,
Yes.
Counselor Stroud,
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. Okay, moving on to 4E, resolution for 2020-11, resolution levying general property taxes for the year 2020. Do I have a motion?
I move we approve resolution number 2020-11.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Allison. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Counselor Sherman,
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin,
Yes.
Counselor Scalisi,
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom,
Yes.
Counselor Stroud,
Yes.
Counselor Gorell,
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. Okay, last resolution to complete our budgeting process, resolution number 2020-12, resolution to adopt supplemental budget. Do I have a motion for this?
Rick, this is separate
Oh.
from the regular 2021 budget.
This
This
is,
one
yeah.
is in
this is-
regards to the 2020 budget.
Okay, so that's not part of the hearing process.
No,
That's just something we have to do to finish up this year, right?
yes, correct.
Okay, let me get back here on my sheet. Okay, so this will be a supplemental budget item for 2020. And it was included in the packet too, takes care of some loose ends that we had this year. So I would look for a motion for resolution number 2020-12.
I move for
Rick,
approval.
did you want me to brief you on this resolution a little
Yeah,
bit?
would you, Joe, in case someone hasn't had a chance to see what the supplemental
Okay.
budgets were?
So when we did our 2020 budget, at that time, one of the things, we never know if we're going to be getting money from Joslyn Needham or not. We normally have for years gotten money from Joslyn Needham. And so that's one of the supplemental items that we always know that we're going to have to supplement before the end of the year. This year, we actually even got a grant fund, or we used our grant fund. We assisted Ebenezer to get their elevator in through a CDBG grant with the state that we had to be the pass-through for. And then we actually got coronavirus money that we're working on getting reimbursed for. And so that was in that grant fund as well, to keep it separated out and easy to see and report if we ever get audited. And then also the golf course needed a little bit of a supplement to it as well. So the resolution you have in front of you this evening is a resolution appropriating additional sums of money to defray expenses in excess of amounts budgeted for the city of Brush for the year 2020.
Okay, does council have any questions about any of that? Okay, I would look for a motion to approve the supplemental budget for 2020.
I move we approve the supplemental budget for 2020, resolution number 2020-12.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Dana. Do we have a second?
Second.
Justin seconds. Any further discussion? And just to let council know, this is one of the things we talked at the special meeting that we had last week. I haven't been on council where you get to the end of the year that something hasn't changed and you have to appropriate money to correct the budget for the end of the year. So it's a normal process that we go through each year. If there's no questions, let's go ahead and move to a roll call vote, please.
Counselor Gorell,
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom,
Yes.
Counselor Stroud,
Yes.
Counselor Scalisi,
Yes.
Counselor Sherman,
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin,
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. Okay, moving on to 4G. One of the things we talked about during our special meeting that we had last week was council's desire to include the fire training facility as a primary priority for the 2021-2022 priorities list. With that, I'll turn it over to the city administrator for comments.
Okay, we took those discussions and what we did is we made that change into the document. Loranda attached that to the packet, so you should have all had a chance to look at that. It's in the priorities, it's number 2. The first priority is the agro park where we're thinking that it might go. And so it kind of fits really good right there. We just didn't know if the wording, we tried remembering exactly how everything was said. We think we got it correct in there. So if council's comfortable with that, we'll have that as that priority for 2021, 2022. And we did put the funding in the budget as well.
Okay, thank you, Monty. Council have any questions?
I'm sorry, what page was that on for the priorities list?
It was included in the packet. I think it was toward, I couldn't tell you. I don't know if somebody has the packet in front of them with the page number.
I thought
but
it was the very last page.
Yeah, I believe it was either the next to last or last page of your packet. If you want to
Okay.
take time, open that up. It would be,
I've got it.
yeah, page 14, I guess. And it would
Again,
be number 2. Go ahead.
I'm slightly concerned with the wording of it. If maybe Monty can just explain the planning and possible construction of a fire training facility. I understand that we had to do a lot of site preparation, or we had a site secured. So I can understand the reasoning behind the word possible, but I would just like to hear what Monty has to say.
So like we had discussed at the budget retreat and we had discussed at the on the special meeting, engineering and planning, that's planned for absolutely this year. If for some reason everything comes together, grants come together, and council feels like they want to construct this year, we might be able to do that yet. I'm not sure if it's going to happen or not. Just really depends on how much site preparation takes place. I do have engineers working on it now on the site plan and getting some of the data that we need to make decisions. And then this week on Friday, I believe it is, I've got a meeting with the fire department.
So just a quick question on that. What are the engineers working on? Because in the special meeting that we had, the discussion was that a site plan couldn't be done until a site had been selected. Has a site been selected, or are they working on preliminary stuff that they can do without a site?
So we're looking at the locations at this point. We're going into what's called phase 3 on the Brush Agro Park master plan. And what we hope to do is get some data just to see how much it's going to cost to run those utilities and get the grading and roads and all that. And that'll help the fire department determine and staff as well as the council if that's going to be the final location or if we should be looking at other locations as well.
Okay. Thank you, Monty.
And I think too, Allison, part of this is that grant process. Is very important that we move trying to get a grant for the building itself. And part of how that rolls out by the state is probably information the staff still has to collect. So we don't know when we're going to be able to apply for those grants. And sometimes it takes more than one attempt to obtain a grant. So I think it's important to make sure we give ourselves every opportunity to try to get funding for this through the state also.
Absolutely. Wouldn't
okay.
want to trip us up. So I just wanted to be careful of that.
Yeah. Okay, are there any other questions about it?
I have
Kevin?
a general question about priorities. Pardon my ignorance here. But it's basically just a list of things we'd like to do. There's not really any teeth in it per se, to my understanding. Is it possible to get make sure we get an update on all the priorities monthly or something like that? Like we talked about with the fire station or the fire training facility. Is there anything like that that's current that I'm unaware of?
Yeah, absolutely. Council can request the city administrator update us on these priorities however often you would like. If you'd like to have a monthly update on the priorities, we can certainly ask the administrator to do that. Is that something?
Sorry, go ahead.
If that, let me ask other councilmen, is that something that you would like to hear on? Usually, an administrator is going to update us with current developments at each and every council meeting that might concern priorities and other things. But we can certainly ask for that if that's what council desires. Other comments?
This is Monty. I just want to make one comment. A lot of the priorities are ones that take years and years to develop over time. And so some of those probably wouldn't really need to be discussed every month. Some of them don't have a lot of things going on, or there might be some of those items that are very confidential. We want to keep those a little quiet just for negotiation reasons. But if there's any in particular ones you have interest on, just let me know. And whether you just send me an email or send it to the mayor or the city clerk, we can update you on any of them in particular. But some of those might be ones that just take quite a while to come about. So for example, like with our, if we want water as one of them and water projects, those take years and years. And so you won't see a lot of activity, every couple weeks or every 4 weeks.
With that being said, I think it would be reasonable to ask for a quarterly update on the fire training facility and its plans moving forward.
That sounds really good. The other thing I was going to mention in our staff reports, I'm going to talk about a special meeting for all of council in the next 30 days we're hoping for. And that's really to give all the council members an update on all the different projects that we have, because some council members are aware of these other projects that are ongoing. Some may be newer, may not have the background. And so I'll talk about that a little bit more in a few minutes.
That would be great. And with that in mind too, I would like to hear a quarterly update possibly on the agri park as well, because I do feel a little out of the loop when it comes to that.
We can do that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is quarterly reasonable, Monty?
I think we lost part of that, Allison. Can you repeat that?
I was just asking if reasonable.
Fine.
I think we talked over each other. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think he said yes, a quarterly update on that one as well, right? Okay.
Yeah. I think a quarterly is probably more reasonable than monthly, and then we can all kind of feel in the loop.
Yeah, and like Monty said, the water resources, that's something I haven't, in the 8 or 6 years I've been on council, I haven't seen that one go off of the primary priorities, because we want to keep a focus. If water shares come available or anything like that, we want to keep it as a focus because water is so important. Right now with water, probably the water planner is something that we're looking at, bringing on a water planner to help us in that area. So, okay. Are there any other questions concerning the priorities before we go to a roll call vote? Okay, if not, Loranda, would you give us a vote on approving the number 2 primary priority for the fire training facility? Well, actually for the entire list.
Did we have a motion and second?
Did we get that far? Did we not? Okay. Back up. It took long enough. I thought we had. I'll look for a motion to approve the 2021-2022 city council priorities.
I move that we the 2021-22 priorities city council list.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Allison. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Kevin. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Counselor Lundstrom,
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin,
Yes.
Counselor Sherman,
Yes.
Counselor Stroud,
Yes.
Counselor Scalisi,
Yes.
Counselor Corral,
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. Okay, moving on, last up, management item 4H, Business Recovery Grant Program, approval of a third round. Rick Caroglian, you want to speak to this?
I certainly do. Good evening, council. I'm going to look at my sheet. So I'm excited about this. This is our third and final round. And so far we have 15 applicants, which is kind of exciting. We have a lot. This one was opened up to nonprofits and churches for the first time since DOLA allowed that to happen. And it looks like we have one church that's applied and 3 nonprofits. The rest of them are just local businesses. This one is a little bit different. We set our caps to 7,500 per category, and that was basically to try to draw on as many as we could. Unfortunately, by having a cap that high and having so many people apply, we're not going to be able to meet caps because we want to make sure everyone gets something. So it looks like based on the overwhelming interest that our caps will probably be between 2,500 and 2,800 per category. So I'll give you the rundown. So far, based on what's left over from DOLA, is around 80 something thousand, between 79 and 81,000. I guess I have to lean on Joanne for the specific number, but we know it's around 80,000. With that, we are blocking off about 40,000 for what we're wanting to do. So right now, what's been submitted to me is $36,881.46. Just like the last 2 rounds, we will probably have people submit more because I've asked them for documentation to support the reimbursement, which is receipts and things like that. And so the way it looks right now is the max that I'm asking you to approve is 40,000, so that our businesses can be reimbursed. The remaining money is going to be going towards 3 different things. One is what we call, so the remaining of the 80,000 or so, or 79,000, whatever it is. The first category is miscellaneous purchases. That will be, examples would be PD or police department expenses and outdoor heaters and things like that to go at the golf course, the restaurant area. The second one is DOLA has allowed us to reimburse fully the emergency manager who we chose, which was Chief Boss, the whole salary plus expenses, or salary plus his benefits, for the whole duration of COVID. We are only going to do 3 months worth. And so when we calculate that, it's about $33,000, which means DOLA will reimburse us for that. When we pay that out, they'll reimburse us for that, and then we can reuse that towards the police funds and things like that. And the last category was just golf course, restaurant, and this is disruption of services, and that's about $6,000. No, $5,000. Just another thing to be brought to your attention is something that we are considering, where we're kind of waiting on right now, but Senate Bill 20B-001 is designed for restaurant and eating and drinking and fitness center focused. This is a bill in which we're trying to determine right now if we're going to submit for this grant. We're kind of waiting to hear from the county if they determine that they're going to do this, and if so, if they do it, then they will take the lead on it. If they don't, then we will make a decision to pursue this or not. It is a little bit challenging, some of the restrictions, but we're still kind of waiting to kind of take from there. So again, we're asking you guys to approve our fourth round, or excuse me, our third round, which I'm asking that would not exceed 40,000. So we're at $36,881.46, but we anticipate a few others to turn in specific, some more reimbursements, not to exceed 40,000. Is there any questions that you guys may have?
One question I had, Rick, on my letterhead here, I'm not showing the cap of $40,000 on there. It says Business Recovery Grant Program approval of third round. Do you need that motion specifically to state the $40,000 cap?
I do not. I just was informing you exactly the way I kind of planned it out.
Okay, that's what I thought.
It's not going to exceed 40,000, but we have that money appropriate for other things for the city. Like I mentioned, there's other categories. We just are making sure that we are dispersing it appropriately.
Okay, what was the thing you talked about? I didn't make the connection between the police department and heaters for the golf course.
We call that miscellaneous. It's just a miscellaneous that we're going to get reimbursed from DOLA, that we're allowed to be able to do those kind of, it's considered outdoor modifications.
Oh.
And so
okay,
to keep people from being inside, we can allow that to, put heaters out, and it's just an outdoor modification that we can do for COVID.
Okay. And one other thing I can speak to, I had a CML meeting last week. When you were talking about the Senate, you were talking about state Senate trying to help small business.
Correct.
And did talk about, I can understand where you say it's tricky because if the county doesn't participate, then I believe the municipalities can submit for that program to help our restaurants and stuff. Is that what you're understanding?
Yes.
Okay. Allison, you got your mic on. Did you have a question?
I do have a question, and I'm sorry if I missed it when you said it, Rick. I was wondering how many people that 36,000 up to 40,000, how many different businesses applied, and is that going to cover?
Okay, great question, Allison. We had 15 different entities apply this round.
How many in the two rounds? How does it compare?
The first round we had, I believe, 8. The second round we had about 15. No, it was at 17 or 18, and this round we have 15. The first 2 rounds were not open for nonprofits or churches. The last round was finally opened. The first round we didn't have that many, and so the caps we kind of put in, and we really micromanaged of how much we were going to spend. The second round we opened it wide open, and that was the round that we reimbursed the most because it was really wide open. $10,000 was a cap per category, so we could have reimbursed 40 or 50,000 per person if they would have done it. It didn't happen, but that was the round that we gave out the most money. So it was like 100-something thousand. In this round, we had, because there's so many people, even though we offered up to 7,500, but because of so many people that applied, we had to kind of cap it around 2,800 per person per category.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions, guys?
Just one other question, Rick. We have to put this money out to if this is approved tonight, we put that money out. It has to be put to them by the end of the year, or they have to spend the money by the end of the year. I'm never quite sure about that.
Are you talking about for the reimbursement of round 3?
Yes. Yes.
This money they have already spent.
Okay, they have.
And this is a reimbursed of something that they've already done.
Okay, and we just have to finalize the paperwork on this by the end of this month?
That's correct. And we will have these checks sent out this week.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is something that is timely. I have almost all the documents this time, but there are a few that I'm waiting on. And so I just want to commend the city for help, and especially Matt Gordon. He has been a huge asset to help me get this done.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I really appreciate the work staff put in at getting this out into the community and helping our businesses and stuff, because we greatly appreciate that, and those folks certainly needed it. So.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. With that, you're welcome. With that, I'd look for a motion on this item.
I'd like to move that we approve the third round of the Business Recovery Grant Program.
Okay, we have a motion by Dan Scalisi for approval. Do we have a second?
I second.
Jinx.
Larry, is that Larry?
Yes.
That was,
Long time,
okay.
first time caller.
Okay, Larry seconds. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Counselor Spradlin,
Yes.
Counselor Scalisi,
Yes.
Counselor Garrell,
Yes.
Counselor Sherman,
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom,
Yes.
Counselor Strauss,
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. Okay, moving on to finance. Well,
I move
move on to finance. Go ahead.
I move we approve disbursements and payroll from November 24th to December 14th, 2020 in the amount of $436,092.73.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a
Hey.
second?
Greg, actually, I had a question on one of the things on there. I just didn't know what it was. At the very bottom of the finance, there's visas, 3 visas, one for the police, one for Monty, one for Lance. With some pretty big totals in there.
Joanne, can you speak to that?
I don't have the Visa bills in front of me, but we do actually have 3 different visas for the 3 different departments. I'm kind of assuming that the Monty one's probably still some of the Christmas decorations that Rick and Matt have purchased for the downtown area. And Lance, a lot of that's probably some type of restaurant stuff. And the police department, it's probably just various items. Usually we put this all as just Visa and the total. I'm not sure why Pam this time put the 3 of them separately, but it is our total Visa bill.
Yeah, I was just wondering because it came up with 12 grand altogether. So I was just curious.
I think each one of them they can spend up to $10,000 in a month if they want.
Oh,
But
okay.
usually they don't, but it's there
Cool.
for their availability.
Thank you, Joanne.
You're
Not a
welcome.
Christmas bonus. Okay, question. What I started to say, Joe, when we got to this item, how are we finalizing finance committee member signatures on this? Because we haven't had the DocuSign come through on an email. And
Yeah,
I don't believe
you know, that's my fault, and I apologize for that, and I was actually thinking about that today. It may be something that I just try to get a hold of each one of you, and we just kind of get you in here and get you to, I'll have Pam go through those and have you sign them. Because they've actually been approved because the council as a whole is approving them. They just don't have the finance committee signature on them, and they should have those signatures on them.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to make sure we were okay that way. All right, so
Yeah.
you'll get a hold of the finance committee members to arrange that then?
Yeah, I will. It might not be this week. It'll probably be next week, but I'll get her done.
Okay. Okay. All right, with that, let's see, where are we at on this? We done a roll call on this one?
No, we
Nope,
need a
I
second.
Second.
We need
Too many
I'll
of them.
second.
a.
Rick,
Yes.
I'll second Dana's motion.
Okay, Dana motions to approve and Dan is seconding. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Counselor Strauss,
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom,
Yes.
Counselor Garrell,
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin,
Yes.
Counselor Sherman,
Yes.
Counselor Scalisi,
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. Okay, and I apologize for not being on my game, but my little miniature dachshund is scratching the door so hard I think she's going to tear it down. So I'm going to move on to staff report and open the door and beg her to go back to the kitchen with her mother. All right, let's turn it over to Rick Carogli, and Assistant City Administrator. Go ahead, Rick.
Well, I've already kind of described a lot of what I've been doing for the last week or so. Me and Matt both have been working a lot on this business recovery grant, getting the word out, answering questions, and putting it together. Christmas displays, finally got that up this past week. And so I hope you guys like that. We have another one that we decided not to put out. It's a big package, like a gift package that kids can crawl in and take pictures. But due to COVID, we decided that's probably not the best with hygiene and all that kind of stuff. So, but that's another thing we work on. I am really excited about just the next month of beginning to show you what some of the projects I've been working on and the economic development side, developers, and just kind of sharing some details about that kind of stuff. So hopefully we'll be able to show you on a map kind of which areas are going, what's going on in each area. And so just love it. It's been fun working on that kind of stuff. So that's about it.
Hey, Rick.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you said, the big package you're not doing. Was that the one that was going to say the Mary, what was it, the Yeet Diggers? Was that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that was.
You made us all learn a brand new word. You're not going to put the package out. Is that what you're saying, Rick?
I know. It's not, it's timing. Presentation, it's not going to work.
I've been driving by downtown, and they do look good, by the way. The decorations look great. And I keep looking for that Yeet Digger thing, man, because I'm super into it now, Rick. But
Well, maybe put a mural on something where people could do selfies in front of it, like paint the side of a building and have like a little selfie wall. And
yeah, that's a great idea.
Those lines and change it out for the holidays.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, let's see. Moving on to Chief of Police, Chief Boss.
Good evening, Council. Just a couple things real quick. First of all, thank you very much for the compensation study and comp increase. That's been very well received and just greatly appreciated, so thank you. On this past Saturday, our two cadets graduated from the police academy. So they will begin training, one this week and one in 2 weeks. They're starting it just to staggered out a little bit to make it easier on our end for training. But they both, graduated at the top of their class with awards. So we're very happy to have them on board. And we, on Friday, offered our last job to somebody. We will be sending him through the academy beginning in January. So hopefully by June, we will be fully staffed and up and running with everybody done with training. The last thing, I talked a couple months ago about auto thefts in the area, and we're still seeing that climb. To date, we've had 22 auto thefts just in Brush alone. November, we had a 169% increase in auto theft in Eastern Colorado compared to last year. And there's some direct correlations to early releases from state prisons due to the COVID, but just a reminder to everybody, please lock your cars, don't leave your keys in your cars. A lot of these instances are people who start their car to warm it up in the morning. They may or may not have security devices in the car, but most of these thieves are savvy enough to get around those anyway. So just a word of caution to everybody in the community on that. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, let's see, moving on, Director of Public Works, Dale Colrick. Dale.
Thank you, Mayor. We've got a few small storm systems that have been moving through the area. We still anticipate one tonight and one later on this week. Our street crew has been out clearing the snow from the roadways and everything like that. And just as a reminder to council that we rotate the areas where we start removing on the residential streets. We rotate that around through the town. And so if you hear, hey, you've never been around for the last year or so to remove my snow, that's probably a true statement depending on how many snowstorms we get throughout the year. However, we are in the process of getting it. Unfortunately, sometimes when we start on one side of town, by the time we get to the other side of town, it's already melted. So, but we do rotate out. We're starting on the west side this particular snowstorm. With that, you probably noticed some activity on Edison, and that is related to the planning and the engineering for our sidewalk project for next year. So that's, even though it's cold and snowy, that project's still moving forward, especially the engineering and the planning portion of that. Have to get some soil samples to determine the geotechnical aspects of those sidewalks, so we don't put a sidewalk over improper soil or that's not going to be suitable. And then finally, the holiday trash schedule coming up. We have both Christmas as well as New Year's on a Friday. Thursdays will be picked up per normal. We should have it picked up by 11 o'clock that day, if not around noon. And then Friday's pickup will be done the following Monday. And with that, do you have any questions?
All right. Thank you,
Okay.
Dale.
I got to go to Hill Road's budget hearing, so I'll sign off now. Thanks. See ya.
All right. Drive safe.
Yep.
Okay, Joanne, Finance Director. I'm not sure. Oh, Joanne may not be on any longer. Let's go ahead and move to Matt Gordon, Best and Brightest.
Mayor Baker.
I'm on, Rick. I'm sorry I didn't push my mute button.
Oh, okay.
But
go
I
ahead.
was really talking to you.
Okay.
So, in the budget packet or the council package, you had a electronic copy of the budget. I will be doing hard copies, and I do anticipate in creating a hard copy for all council members. If you don't want that, if you would let me or Loranda know, I'd sure appreciate it. The other thing is when we discuss the 12/28 regular meeting, we'll just need to find out when Finance Committee wants to approve some bills, second batch of bills before the end of the year, or if they even do.
Okay. All right.
And that's
Thank
all I have.
you. All right. Thank you, Joe. All right. Moving on to Matt Gordon, Best and Brightest.
Evening, Mayor and Council. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes.
Cool. Just double checking my mic. So I just wanted to go over with my 2 years working as a Best and Brightest intern in Brush coming to an end. I wanted to highlight some of the accomplishments and projects that I have had the privilege of being a part of. But before we get to that, some of you know already, but I wanted to announce formally that I was recently hired as the town clerk and treasurer for a small mountain community called Green Mountain Falls. It's just right outside Colorado Springs on the 24, Manitou and Woodland Park. Gorgeous area, and I'm really excited to get started out there. So unfortunately, I have to announce that my last day with Brush is actually the half day on the 31st. So my 2 years will be completed then. My first day with Green Mountain Falls is on the 4th. And while the outcome of my program wasn't a city manager, a town administrator position, I believe this opportunity with Green Mountain Falls is going to move my career in a positive direction. I'm really excited for it. But back to the Brush stuff, these 2 years in Brush, I mean, it's been a whirlwind. I can't believe it's already been 2 years. It's just like time flies faster every single day. It's crazy to me. I kind of wanted to go over some of the projects. They have a large scope and there's a bunch of them, but here's kind of the highlight. We've had a little bit of grant writing and administration, RFP development, agency consolidation research and presentations, creative projects like redesigning the city website and working with Tyler, or redesigning the Brush Chamber website, which should be launching soon, and creating a giant human exclamation point because you guys let me do that for some reason. Emergency preparedness and response, holiday decorations twice, and the second time was way better than the first time, I admit it out loud. Created parade floats, and I even got to judge the floats this year, which is pretty cool. Housing development, economic development, historic preservation, event planning with Heritage Day last year, which was such an amazing experience. I got to serve on multiple city and chamber committees and boards, got to host a podcast and join a few others. Done some cool software stuff and art projects at the 4th of July parade, and even got to do a little bit of infrastructure improvements and PIO stuff with Dale. It's been a lot, and that's just a sampling. So the project I think that left me feeling the most proud and excited, as my cat tries to climb on the keyboard again, but definitely piqued my creativity and created the most watched YouTube video in the history of the City of Brush YouTube page, was the video I created with Willow Moskowitz for the Hometown Takeover competition, featuring that giant human exclamation point. Here's the cat. Giant human exclamation point. I can't imagine trying to explain to somebody that my employer let me try and do something like that in the future, but it's just so cool. So my hope is that when COVID is finally out of our lives, is that I can come back to Brush and we can try and compete for the world record, human exclamation point, and I will gladly be a part of it. To close, I wanted to say thank you to the mayor, to council, the former council members, to Monty, all the department heads, employees at the city, former city colleagues, the Chamber of Commerce, Melody Christensen, and the entire Brush community for giving me this amazing opportunity to reboot my professional path and showcase my skills. You know, my goal in coming to Brush was to prove to myself that I could go anywhere and connect with people and make an impact. And it's my hope that that goal was achieved here in Brush. So always a go-to me, call away, guys. So any questions or comments or anything? That's all I was going to do tonight.
Yeah, and I got you're getting applause. Everybody stand up. Yeah, I want to say I just recently been informed of your leaving, and I just want to say every time I would go into the city, Matt and I would get into a discussion that lasted way too long, and I mean he has really delved into every area of the city, diverse areas too. I mean, probably more than we expected we would be able to use him on. And it's been a pleasure to know you, Matt. I wish you the best of luck. I wish you weren't leaving. I wish you were staying here, but I totally understand. I want you to keep giving that cat a good home. I think he's good for you.
I will, I promise.
That cat is like, man, this guy's really, that cat's doing good for you. So anybody else that would like to comment, please feel free to do so.
I just want to say I'm very happy for you, Matt, and you definitely will be missed here. You were so much fun to have in town, and you did some great things for us. So we hope you come back to visit, and I look forward to being a part of even a bigger exclamation point in Brush.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'd also like to
thank you
say,
for everything.
go ahead, Dan.
I'm sorry, Larry. Thank you for everything you did for the chamber, City of Brush. Look forward to coming out to your area. I know you have a nice little pond out there.
Yes.
Look forward to coming and seeing that again.
Actually, that's a topic of contention. It's called a lake in Green Mountain Falls, and they'll beat you up if you don't call it a lake. I found that out the hard way. Just saying.
In that lake, you can throw a rocket off.
I just want to say Green Mountain Falls is pretty lucky to have you, Matt. Thank you for everything you've done. You made it interesting, for sure. A lot of experiences with you. So thank you for everything. I just found out we're not going to do the Yeet Digger thing, so I'm a little disgusted with you at the same time. Leaving now.
Not every marketing idea come up with is gold, Larry. So the Yeet Digger thing felt pretty flat. We decided to scrap it, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it hurt me, Matt, just so you know that, okay? Just go to sleep at tonight knowing that. But thank you for everything, buddy.
Thank you.
I second all of that and third and fourth it. And thank you for helping a newbie like me with your fantastic perspective. I think your perspective is such a fantastic thing out here that gives us a completely different way to look at things, and I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate that I have a Garth Brooks story to steal from you, which I've used like 3 times. Just FYI. But thank you. We appreciate it.
It's a decent story, but thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Matt, I just wanted to say thanks for everything you did and the presence you brought to the meetings. You were a lot of fun to have around. I think you got a really big career ahead of you. So I hope good things come for you.
Thank you.
I guess I'm going to chime in too. I'm really going to dynamic and volunteering with you at the theater and all the great conversations over movies and comics and everything that you had with us and my boys. And you just got a great personality. There's nothing but great things ahead for you, Matt.
Wow. Thank you.
Sure you want to go?
Yeah, I'm like, who else wants to chime in? I could do this all night.
Yeah. Hey, did we hear who won the hometown takeover, by the way?
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the community, but I want to say like they fully deserve this opportunity. From what I remember, their entire community downtown burnt down completely.
Okay.
And so they're going to build brand new buildings for this community. I think it was in Alabama, but after reading the story, I was like, yeah, I think I think they probably deserve this one, despite how much pride I have for Brush.
You can see, yeah, it sounds like it was deserving. All right, well, thank you, Matt, and
Thank you.
happy trails, buddy, and come back and see us, okay?
I will.
All right, let's move on to Loranda Packard, City Clerk.
How do I follow Matt? I do want to say before I start, I have just a couple of things, but I do want to tell Matt that we are going to miss him terribly, and it's been a great experience for us to have you here as well. You've definitely made a positive impact, and we wish you the very best. I know that you're going to do awesome things with your future.
Thank you.
So you bet, you bet. So anyway, just a couple things that I have for tonight is to talk about future meetings. The next regularly scheduled meeting is going to be December 28th, which is right between Christmas and New Year's. It doesn't interfere, but we wanted to get your input tonight to see how you feel about keeping that meeting. Right now, I don't have anything forecasted for that meeting, and so I just kind of wanted to see if you guys wanted to maybe do away with that one. And then I also have another meeting to talk about, and Monty will chime in as well. He mentioned it a little bit earlier about having a meeting to talk about all of the projects that are going on and some developments that are coming along, and see what you guys think about a date that we could put that together, and also with that meeting some training, a refresher for the council. So maybe I can have Monty chime in here and give some input on that special meeting to hold before we talk about dates.
Do they want it before the end of the year, Miranda?
Monty, I think within the next 30 days.
Larry,
Right?
yeah, we're shooting for the next 30 days if we could, just because we're getting ready to go into a new year. We do have some new council members or newer council members on board. And some of the things that we've talked about as far as topics is just having CIRSA come in with one of their speakers, discuss roles, responsibilities of council members. Usually they talk about the do's and don'ts as a council person. And then I believe there's also a short section on avoiding legal pitfalls and avoiding costly mistakes. And so we would want to join that up with a presentation from Rick Troglian and I in regards to all the different projects that we're doing to bring council members kind of up to speed. And some of it will be refreshers for some of the council members. Some will be new information to council members. But we do have 10 to 12 larger projects that we're working on, and some of them are quietly we're working on, but we want to bring the council into those discussions, just be more knowledgeable about those. And those projects range from developments to water projects, economic development, things that the Public Works Department is doing as far as street projects and sidewalk projects. And we might also have a few administrative projects that we're talking about. We are shooting for the next 30 days, and CIRSA has said that they're willing to do an in-person meeting. And so our thought was, if council was okay with it, if we spread everyone out at the golf course, that might be a venue for it. Spread everyone out and have some light refreshments and have the speakers present to council. Somewhere between an hour and a half, 2 hours of time is what I'm thinking.
My vote would be for early January, because that's when things are generally the slowest, I think, anyway.
I agree. I was thinking the first half of January might be perfect. Maybe that second week.
Same.
Does CIRSA have a schedule, Monty? I mean, we might ask them what the dates are available. We can pick from that, maybe.
Yeah, we'll reach out to them and kind of get a better feel and do a poll to council just to see which evenings would work better.
Okay, that sounds good with everybody. First part of January. Okay. As to the December 28th meeting, sounds like from Loranda, we don't have anything on the schedule now. Typically, we do cancel the second meeting in December. This was a little different because it's not real close to Christmas as afterwards. Maybe what we could do, Monty, I look for your input here, is to kind of monitor and see if we have anything come on the horizon. We could schedule something, but absent any big things that we need to take care of, I would be in favor of canceling that meeting unless we have a need for it. How does other council members, you guys feel the same?
That's normally how we do it, so we're good with it on the admin side.
Okay.
I'm okay with it.
I would say too, the meeting kind of almost has a balance to it, so I'm okay with not having it.
Okay. All right, let's move on to, let's see, Dan Croft, City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to say that CERSA presentation is definitely a great benefit. And you guys have been really a good client about keeping me out of trouble. And I think that CERSA training would really help also. So I don't really have much to add. I did want to echo everyone's comments to Matt. He's been a huge asset to Brush, and I wish him the best of luck with Green Mountain Falls.
Dan, tell him what was your brother, right?
Yeah, my brother used to represent Green Mountain Falls too, so I do have a little history with Green Mountain Falls, and it's a beautiful area. You're gonna enjoy it up there.
Thanks, man.
All right, great. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to Monty Therese, City Administrator.
Okay, just one last shout out to Matt. Thanks for all the hard work, Matt. You took a lot of workload off of me, so I really did appreciate that. And best of luck in everything that you do there in Green Mountains Falls.
Thank you,
You
Monty.
did such a good job. I didn't know how this best and brightest would work, but it worked out pretty great. And there is another a round of best and brightest. I believe it's coming up in June or July, and based upon how well everything worked out with Matt, it's something that we'll probably look into again. So again, Matt, good job, and we'll keep in touch.
Thank you, Monty.
Yep. So the next item is quiet zone update. The quiet zone project's been going on for quite a few years. We got one of them accomplished a couple, 3 years. We're moving on to the more complex one, which is the Hospital Road quiet zone. And we did have a very good meeting at, I guess it was last week on Thursday, I think it was. Maybe it was Tuesday, can't remember anymore. But anyways, in your packet, we did get a copy of the meeting notes just to put in there for keeping the council kind of apprised of what we're doing there. There's a little more studying that needs to go on with it, some survey work, and we'll get to a decision point probably in the next couple months with council to decide if we want to keep that moving forward or not. That's another one of those projects that it takes quite a bit of time with the planning and the process. And also, if we decide we want to move forward with it, I also recommend trying to find a grant for this one because it is relatively expensive. But in that packet, or in those 2 pages that were submitted in your packet, there's an overview of the meeting, and then also the second page that is an example of kind of the planning timeline for a project. So you'll see that in there as well. That one's specific for the quiet zone prepared by our engineers. And but it looks like it goes pretty far out, but a lot of the decisions have to be made in the next 90 days if we're going to move forward with that project. And more than likely, if we get to that point, we'll have the engineer come in and explain her findings to the city council. And that's all I've got.
Sorry. I just have a question about the quiet zone, and forgive me, I moved to Brush from an island. We don't have trains on the island. I mean, I've been around them, but it's never been a concern to have a quiet zone. We also hosted the loudest jet in the Navy, so I'm used to really loud sounds. I guess, what is the goal with having a quiet zone? I mean, being right next to Ebenezer, it's not really nice that they're blasting their horns as they come through at all hours of the night. Is that really the goal, is to kind of take care of the residents, or what is the goal of the quiet zone?
Well, a few years back, it's probably been 5 or 6 years ago, the city council, and I can't remember if it was the complaints from the citizens or just council members having that interest. It's been long enough, I can't remember, but it was decided to let's try and figure out how to get the train horns to stop, as they come through town. And so we started with Clayton Street because that one was relatively easily and didn't cost too much, and it worked out very well. So in years past, if you were downtown, certain times of the day, it was so loud down there, it was actually pretty disturbing if you're having a meeting or anything like that. It was very loud, the horns blaring through the downtown area. And then we moved our attention over to Hospital Road because of that situation with Ebenezer being there. But also we had residents on the west side of town that had asked if there's something that we could do to reduce the amount of noise. And so we started that process, but with other priorities and that one being a little more tricky, we held off on it for a little bit. But then the last couple years, council has still asked for that to be a priority to work on that. And we finally put some money in the budget a year ago, and that was to do the preliminary engineering and assessment. And so that's what's going on at this point in time. And the next 90 days critical because we'll have some limited engineering and cost estimates on it that will give the council a better idea if they want to move forward with that project.
Okay, thank you for explaining that to me.
Now, one of the things I could add about to Allison, when I ran for council 6 years ago, when I took my packet around for signatures, I asked people what was their priority, what were they interested in. A quiet zone came up repeatedly, and about, I want to say 3 years ago, we had, it wasn't really a hearing, but we asked for comments from citizens to come in, and really the people that live right along the tracks, I don't know what, Monty could tell you the streets, I think it's Elm Street and the other, so not just the Ebenezer complex, but some of those people on those 2 blocks there. I was over there and actually trying to talk to one of the residents when the trains come through, and I think it's really a quality of life issue, because I couldn't imagine how, living that close to the tracks, how loud those horns blare when they come through town. And so it was really kind of a quality of life issue, but there was a lot of public sentiment wanting us to do something with it. And like Monty said, we started with the downtown because it was disrupting businesses and stuff with the noise. And it's been relatively a successful project. The only problem with this next one is it's going to be quite a bit more expensive than what we did downtown in order to do it. So that's why we were looking at grant opportunities, and they may be coming in 2021, but we've been waiting a couple of years and I haven't seen anything that looks like it's going to help us with that. So, but that's a little bit of the history of why we started looking at it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Monty, were you done with that? Did you say you were done?
Yep, that was it.
Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to mayor and council reports. Council have anything they'd like to report tonight? Kevin?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So I don't know if you are all aware, I'm fairly interested in elections. So I reached out to the county clerk because I wanted to see how our ballot box up front did there, to see how many citizens engaged with and all that. So I asked her for the numbers for the election for both that and the voter center at the fairgrounds. So interestingly enough, there were, in the drop box, there were 1,719 ballots retrieved from it, which is pretty good. Additionally, 148 people voted at the fairgrounds on election day. So I thought that was pretty cool, and that box is a fantastic success, I would say. because
That's
kind
the
of,
one we had in front.
yeah. So it did great, especially for the first year.
Right.
Oh, that's great that you checked out the numbers. I hadn't heard the numbers on it. I do know that city staff said there was brisk business all the way through the 2 weeks leading up to the election. So I know the numbers were going to be pretty good. But that's fantastic. Yeah.
Compared to even when I worked in Adams County, far larger population, that would have been, wouldn't have been one of the smaller ones even there. So it's pretty great.
So we're looking about less than 10% went and voted in person down at the fairgrounds, you'd say?
I don't know what the total was. She didn't give me that.
Oh,
But
okay.
but yeah, it sure sounds like for whatever reason the Dropbox is a massive success.
Okay.
Which actually, not unattached to that, I'd like to plant it in back of people's heads, Dan maybe, to look at our core requests and making sure we're being super transparent with those. Just kind of maybe as a council, look at them and make sure we're being as open as we could be. Random aside to that one.
Okay. Okay. Great.
Thank you.
All right. Larry, you're unmuted. Do you want to say something?
Well, I was just going to be curious to see how it does the next time around if there's no pandemic going on. If people go back out and vote in person, or if that Dropbox, drops off. I'd be curious to see that.
Yeah, my guess is that a lot of people, and I was one of them, I always took my ballot up to Morgan County to deliver it up there. I think a lot of people who want to vote in person will probably use this box to do that same thing without having to go to Morgan, which I think is attractive to people.
And for perspective, I think I told you guys this before, even at our boxes, again, in Adams County, that had been there for years, it was usually 50 to 60% of voters would vote at a Dropbox as opposed to mail or any other way. So.
Okay. All right. Anyone else?
Did she happen to tell you how many registered voters there were in Brush? No.
She didn't, and I didn't ask, honestly. I should have.
It seems like that's a good chunk of it. I mean, I know when we were looking at the election results just for council, I mean, 12 or 1,300 people is pretty much all the registered voters in Brush, although there was probably some from Hill Rose and Snyder in that box, but that's a really good number. So thanks for checking that out. That's awesome.
Dan, did you have something? You're unmuted.
I was just wondering, it's a different topic, but I was wondering if there was any update on our housing development project or speculation.
Rick, I'll let you speak to that.
Yeah, that's great. So we have received a resubmittal from LDI J Stoner's group, and we're in the process of reviewing it. This week, Joy and I should be getting together, talking through some things, and then probably review it with staff, with Dan and Monty, and then we would offer it up to the Planning Commission to have a work session to talk through it with them. So we're in the process. So thanks for asking that, Dan, and we'll give an update soon.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else? With that, I'll go ahead and one thing I want to mention. Last week, Steve Treadway died. Steve was a former mayor of Brush, and I don't have Dan probably would know which years he was the mayor, but he also served for many, many years on the Brush Rodeo Board as president, and also a member of our Planning and Zoning Commission. So our thoughts go out to his family tonight. With that, let's go ahead and adjourn our meeting, and we'll move immediately into our work session on the Liquor Authority occupational tax question.